This is the Air Check. The Air Check. The Air Check with Mike Lemons.
The Air Check with Mike Lemons.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Air Check. I'm Mike Lemons. This is the show where we check in with former graduates of the radio broadcasting program, see how they're doing in their careers, tell some stories, and have a little bit of fun. This morning, we are joined by a guy who did production work for us when he was here a few years ago, well, several years ago now. And that's what he does for his career now, and we'll talk about that now with Jon Mintert. Jon, welcome to the Air Check.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is awesome.
And as you guys can tell, listen to that stupid, deep, rich voice. And I think it's gotten more so since you left here. Do you work on that every day, Jon, or what?
I talk a lot, and I'll tell you that right now. Right now, I'm what they call a regional production manager, which means I'm responsible, as long as my other 4 or 5 team members, are responsible for 14 different markets of production for Odyssey. So I'm sure we'll get into that more. But
we will. Yes, absolutely.
I'm talking a lot.
So, Jon, you were a student. Remind me, you were here. What were the years? God, because, they go so fast now.
Probably, I think it was 10 to 12, somewhere in there.
Wow.
So almost 10 years ago, if not.
That's crazy. Because it seems like yesterday in many ways when you were here. You did for production for us, but let's kind of map your career from the time that you left 89.9 in Lewis and Clark. You went to an internship, and I think that internship then developed into some part-time work there, almost full-time work. So just kind of take us your journey after leaving Lewis and Clark.
Well, I started, as you said, as an intern. I was a production intern as well for Jamie Lambert at then MS St. Louis, downtown St. Louis, which housed 105.7 The Point, KC95, and a few other stations. I parlayed that into, I was helping sales department, which was crazy to me. I was pulling live endorsements that talent would do and sending it to the client. That's how I kind of got my foot in the door. So I did that for, who knows, about 6 months or so. And then I got the courage to go and ask the program director, which was Rick Bayless, if I could do some on-air work for KC95. And he said, well, let me hear some of your demo stuff, and we'll take it from there. And he did, and he gave me some pointers, and it took a little while, but finally I got my foot in the door in KC, and I got to do some on-air work. And I parlayed that onto, I had the weekend slot, so I was doing Saturdays from 2 to 6. I was doing Sundays from noon to 4, and then I was also doing some stuff fill-in work for, middays. I did afternoon drive every once in a while. I was filling in for Favaz. And then I finally got Friday afternoons, and then that kind of all went away once they rehired Mark Close. And then it's just a shame because that's such a fantastic heritage station that I never really got the opportunity to be full-time in. And it's because their personalities have been around for so long, whether they retire, decide that they no longer want to do radio, or they go on to somewhere else, it's pretty hard to make a name for yourself as you're trying to work up that ladder.
But you were pretty much their number one go-to part-timer. I mean, you were almost like a de facto full-time without all the full-time benefits, right?
Correct, yes. I've done everything from promotions. I was sweetmeat 3 times. I did everything they asked me to do.
You mean that's not a real mascot? Different people play sweetmeat. You just crushed me.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shatter your dreams, but I was sweetmeat 3 times. And let me tell you, you know the heat outside right now.
Yes.
This is the kind of heat that I was in that costume with. And it was not very comfortable. Let's just put it that way.
Right. So go on from there. So now you do that for several years, and it's kind of hard, though, right? It's hard to leave when you're at KC. I'm at KC 95. No, I'm not full-time, but I'm at KC. How do I leave KC? And, a lot of our students, they'll either start small market and build their way up, but we've had a lot of people do a lot of large market stuff right away.
Yeah.
Many times, though, it's part-time. It's how long do I wait out that part-time? It was probably hard to leave KC, yeah?
Well, not only KC, but it was hard to leave home. Like, I'm in Kansas City now. I've never left home. I never left my parents at the time. So it was a hard decision, but I felt like I needed to do it for myself. For one, it was a full-time opportunity. For two, it was a chance for me to just like start living my life on my own.
Sure.
I'd been doing part-time for 7 years for Emmis, and then what turned into Hubbard Broadcasting. And I just wanted to take life by the horns and do my own thing for a little while. And here I am.
Sure.
It's crazy.
Sometimes you have to leave to come back, and who knows? You go to a town like Kansas City, you're not that far from home, and you're a regional production manager for Odyssey, which was Intercom at one point, which, eventually, I think well before that was CBS at some stage.
Yep.
So you're now with this company, and you're doing production for several markets. Tell us a little bit about that.
So when I heard about this job, I didn't exactly know what it entailed. I knew I'd be doing production, but I had no idea that we'd have 14 markets that we're responsible for. When I started this job, it was only 8. And then we just keep adding more and more and more. So we're a hub out here. I have a team of about 5 or 6 people, as I mentioned earlier. And we all do production for Odyssey. We're in markets like Detroit. We're in St. Louis, Kansas City, obviously, Chicago. I'm in Milwaukee, Madison, Wisconsin, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, Rochester, New York. Like, we're all over the place. It's insane. So basically, we just get these orders all day. I work from 9 to 6, and we just shoot out production the best that we can. And so far, it's going pretty well.
Are we talking more client commercials based primarily, or
Yes.
are we talking imaging? Or for those who may not understand production, it's producing commercials and audio commercials for clients that these stations may have in their markets, right?
Yes, so we do client commercials, and lately we've been doing a lot of promotions, and collectively, some of us have been asked to do imaging for the entire Odyssey brand. So I don't know if how long ago it was. It was probably about a month, maybe 2. We had a entire rebrand from Intercom to Odyssey. So everything that said Intercom or radio.com had to be changed over to Odyssey. So we've all been working collectively as a team to try and get that going.
So you make the move to Kansas City. You're a big sports fan, as now you have on a Rays jersey. I know you're going to a ball game today in Kansas City. Not playing the Rays, though, right?
No.
But you still represent, and we put that in your intro. You've always been a big Rays fan. What's it been like leaving St. Louis? I mean, you lived in the St. Louis area your whole life, not just from a sports standpoint, but like you said, family and everything else. How's Kansas City been to you?
Kansas City is it's good. The thing is, I moved here in July of 19. It was like mid-July. So once I finally got my feet on the ground, starting to feel a little bit comfortable, the pandemic hit. So
Yeah.
there wasn't much I could do for about a year, and that's still somewhat the case. I mean, we're able to go out and do stuff like go see a ball game. We couldn't do that for a year.
Sure.
Now I can. And but with the pandemic, I've been working from home since last March, and I'm still working from home.
Really?
And so this little small living room that I'm in right now is basically all I've known for the last year plus, which is kind of crazy.
The pandemic taught us a lot. I mean, being able to offer instruction remotely, our production classes, students have their own versions of Adobe and they can share screens. And it became, some things became easier. Students can go on the air from home now, which is something that didn't happen before. It was things that we didn't realize we could do, and the pandemic forced us to do. You said you've been at your home doing this production work that you really, truly could do from anywhere in the world. So do you see your job going back to the office in Kansas City, or could you really move back to St. Louis and do it here if you wanted to?
If I wanted to, I've spoken with my boss about this. I was like, can I take some time and go back home, visit my folks, my friends, and all that, and continue to work? And he was like, yeah, I don't see why not. But for now, I think I'm here. And so right now we're doing a slow kind of roll back into the office. Right now, each member of our team, I said we have like 5 people. Each person's assigned a day. And if we have a client session that day, then we go back to the office. So this past Monday, I had a client session, so I had to go back to the office. And it was my first time there since last March. So it was crazy because there's people in there, but it's not as bustling of an office as you may remember.
Right.
with like people coming in, winning prizes. We don't have a front desk person right now because they don't want outside people coming in.
Sure.
There's only one person allowed in the studio at a time. All the doors upstairs, which is where all the on-air studios are, it's for on-air only, so no one's able to go through those doors. It's just a really weird situation right now, and I imagine it's going to be that way for a little while still. So I think we're going to stay at home since we've proven that we're productive, one,
Sure.
and two, we all have the means to do it, so why make us go back to the office?
Right. Can you imagine the halls of Lewis and Clark or the radio station without students? I mean, that's something
No.
that we went through as well, and student from home. You know, we brought them on campus on occasion with a lot of safety protocols in place. And the reason why I asked that, John, is because I think one of the strengths of the program, and students that we've interviewed already, former students, said it was the camaraderie and working with other students and growing and learning. That was really one of the strengths of the program that the students for the last year and a half haven't had. So could you imagine not having done the program the way that you experienced it?
No way at all. I still have friends from the program. I mean, Justin Bannister, I talk to him every now and then. Rachel, she's a colleague of mine now, and I know you just interviewed her recently. I watched a clip of that, and I cannot imagine trying to do 5-minute shows without some help, because I know I certainly had some help on that, and just hanging out with people. Like, I spent so much time at the station or in my office, which is right next door to the studio, just hanging out and becoming friendly with everybody. And I couldn't imagine doing all of that by myself and basically being forced not to be able to do that, which I couldn't imagine. No.
Yeah, and no concerts. I mean, we did a lot of...
That's been tough for everybody.
That's been tough for everyone. But thinking, you know, when you came here, right? I mean, you may have done concerts, but we had tickets for many things, and we got kind of spoiled in doing what we... And now that I look back, and I haven't been to a live show in over 2 years, and that's crazy. And I know we're not alone in this. I mean, it's a worldwide thing that happened, but... so the students over the last year and a half really kind of got gypped, and we try to make it some of the same. We try to do that, but we can't wait until August until we're back in studio doing it all again, and then teaching them this new stuff, which I'll roll into now. You know, we've always done a good job, I think, of teaching radio. We've always had nice equipment to do it with. We've taught podcasting as a part of production classes, but we never really explored it as something separate or something that was equally as important. And we're now trying to do that, and we just elevated another level by saying, well, let's just do video as well. So now we're doing video podcast. You've worked for the last year or plus from your home doing audio production. Our curtain production teacher, David Olenbittle, teaches class, and he does client spots across the globe. So technology allows us to do these type of things, and radio isn't just radio anymore.
No. Yeah, it's crazy because one of the biggest selling points that Intercom did when they rebranded to Odyssey was we are no longer just a radio company, which is true. They bought a lot of different companies like BetQL, which is a sports betting site, so they're really getting into that. They're pushing that really hard. And the biggest thing, as you mentioned, is podcasting. Odyssey is a huge audio podcasting company now. I believe they just signed Demi Lovato to do like an exclusive podcast for Odyssey. So that's the whole idea behind the name. So it's like audio and Odyssey. So it's like an audio journey. And it's crazy how just 10 years ago, like I said, when I started radio, I thought radio was like one thing, and now we're like a total audio company, which is crazy to me. But I guess you gotta change with the times,
right? And we know, John, to attract for years we used our format of alternative rock and carving out our own niche to appeal to a certain target demographic, which was the 18 to 24-year-old. There's so many different places we're losing those 18 to 24-year-olds, right? I mean, there's many other places they could turn their eyes or their ears. And once we couldn't do remote broadcasts, once we couldn't give away concert tickets, we were really offering nothing special for them, right? And why not listen to Spotify or somewhere else instead of us, because we weren't offering anything different. So the goal is to say, hey, we're not your typical radio station that you think of anymore. We're video now as well, and we can put little clips on social media, and you can create your own podcast. And it's difficult for me, right, as a radio guy, but we can do it all, I think. And I think this is the path forward for us. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's so much with social media nowadays. It's kind of crazy. And you look at platforms like, well, Snapchat, obviously, TikTok. If you can get bite-sized forms of anything, any kind of media, and toss it out there, someone's going to see it, for one. If it's good content enough, they'll share it. And then you get more eyeballs on it, which gets more eyeballs to your product. So I believe the short, sweet bites of things are kind of the trend right now. So the more you can do that, I think you'll succeed.
Yeah, I'll condense this, interview, which will last, 20, 30 minutes, and we'll reduce it down to a few second bites or a couple of minutes or two to put out there. And then we'll obviously point it to the full if people want to watch that, because they're going to want to hear everything that Jon Mintert says. So that's what we'll do.
Of course.
Let's transition to your time here. So you spend a couple of years here, right? You do this like every other student had done for years. You start in August. You start talking on air mid-semester. And then you're doing your own thing, and then shortly after you're applying for a director's position, and then you get a director's position that you have for a while. We're going to talk about a few of your experiences here, but what's your initial thought when you think of your time at 89.9 and Lewis and Clark?
I love it fondly. It's going to be a lifelong memory. It was so much fun because I didn't start the program right out of high school. I started it. I was 21 years old. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And one day I was just like, hey, radio sounds fun. And then on a whim, I decided to join the program. And then next thing you know, I loved it. Everything about it. It was so much fun. The classes were fun. My class in particular was fantastic. I mean, there was great people. It was a lot of fun. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that my class did, all of that. It was fun.
Class time, right? We had many classes. We had, there's an announcing class every semester. We're always listening to air checks in class, and your production gets played. And you as a production guy, in class, we can say, okay, let's learn and grow. Let's make a mistake. And we would laugh at mistakes, right? I mean, not to put anybody out, but to say, you know what, we're all going to make mistakes. And if it's funny, let's laugh at it, move on, and fix it for next time. But you did production, so you're a production teacher, which I don't teach production, and there's reasons why I don't teach production, because I'm not that good at teaching production. But I thought I had a pretty good ear for it, and your production teacher might treat you kind of, oh, that's nice, let's do it this way. Then you bring it to me if we're on air, and I go, nope, that's horrible. This is wrong, 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 wrong. Did you ever have any of those experiences with me?
The one thing I love about you, Mike, is you and I both know I am terrible with criticism. And you would criticize my work, and I was always adamant that I thought it sounded good, and you're like, no, this is the way I want it. And to this day, it's worse now, obviously, because I have a lot of people yelling at me day to day. But I'm still terrible with criticism. I feel like whatever I produce is the correct thing, and sometimes it takes a little talking to get me to listen to other people on,
John,
on my work.
Your production was fantastic. We've had the luxury of having a lot of really good production people come through here. I did a show recently with Mike Ryder, who was a music person here, whose job became production, and now he's an executive producer at 101 ESPN, kind of doing something different than he thought. Tim Albright and Joey Bradfish and a ton of people, Aaron Kern, who have done a lot of great things with production. And you were one of those people. And some of the times, John, when I would offer critiques to you, it was nitpicky. It was to say, damn, this is good. Is there anywhere it could be better? Or what if we changed it? And many of those times, it was just to push you to do something different than what you were already doing, not necessarily that it was incorrect. So, but yeah, I think you produced a lot of great things.
Well, I appreciate that. And And I do. I appreciate that because that probably pushed me to become better, right? I mean, you can't just think you're correct all the time and like, yeah, okay, whatever. What does he know? No,
Right.
push me to be better. That's what it's all about, especially from your standpoint as a professor and basically at one point my boss. So
Right.
I mean,
Right.
That probably helped me more than it hindered me. So I appreciate you doing that.
Well, you did something right because, you're producing things for, what do you say, 14 markets now, and you're doing client
Yeah.
commercials, and that's a big deal. I mean, how you produce a commercial and how you make it sound could affect this company's bottom line and how well advertising works and whether they'll come back and be a customer again. And so I'm sure in what you do now, there's so much more to it than even we covered, right? Because we didn't get too much into the commercial production aspect. I mean, we did some of it, but
Yeah.
not so much into now and what word you mentioned here and what call to action you do here and how you really bring to life to drive that. Has that been an adjustment? Or do you think that what you did here helped prepare you for that?
I think a little bit of both because I know 89.9 was non-commercial, but at the same time, that allowed me to do promos and practice my craft. And over the last year with the pandemic, of course, client commercials were very important just to drive home any sort of message to help any of these companies out. Because, face it, we were all struggling. The radio business itself was struggling. So any money that we could bring in via advertising was a plus. And I just think that it was a rough time. Don't exactly know where I was going with that, but
No, but I think in producing this, knowing that
yeah,
you have a lot of production that you need to do, and there are clients that need you to be spot on with what you're doing. So good on you. Let's also talk about, you mentioned some of the other names of students you were here. You talked about the class that you were in, and you mentioned a lot of names that still ring a lot of memories come to my mind. Is there other memories outside of class? Is there some fun? Is there concert? Is there a certain thing that you did when I wasn't looking that kind of makes you laugh still to this day?
I'll never tell you about that, Mike. No, I'm joking. Yeah, there's a picture that always pops up on my Facebook memories every year, and I mentioned Justin Bannister earlier, but me and him went to a Snoop Dogg show, and it was probably both of our first rap concert. It was fantastic. It was at Pops, and we got this picture taken outside by the Riverfront Times. So that pops up every year at the same time, and it was just a great memory. I loved it. There's so many others. I mean, we used to do group outings. The late, great John Holt, remember him?
Yeah, yep.
We used to go to IHOP after class every now and then and go have lunch, and it was just so much fun. We had a kickball tournament once. It was just weird, the camaraderie, because none of us really knew each other prior. But being in the radio program just brought us all together, and we became like a weird family there for the 2 years that we were there.
People from different walks of life that you may not normally be exposed to, right? I mean, it's different people. So did you guys even have, was it in your class that had like a mock wedding in class or something? Was that?
Yeah,
was that,
Jordan and Justin.
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
I was dating Jordan at the time, so that was very awkward for me. That was so
fun.
weird.
Yeah. Jon, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. Congratulations on your career. Congratulations on your time in St. Louis and being at such a well-renowned radio station. And I used to love, I wasn't a huge listener of KSHE, but I'd listen to pick you up, and it'd make me smile to hear that you were doing that. And I know you had a lot of fun with that. And now on doing what you're doing in Kansas City. And congratulations to you. And thanks for being a part of this, because it's students like you and your success that help me promote what we do here. So I appreciate that, and congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you, Mike. You were always much more than just a professor to me. You were like a second father there for 2 years, and we've remained friends, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for having me on. When you asked me to do this, I was like, really? You want me?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's been an honor. I love it. This is great.
Well, thank you so much, and have fun at the ball game today. And I know you've always been a Rays fan, and now you're watching a Kansas City game today. hope you haven't lost your love for St. Louis area teams.
No. Last night, a little rough game for the Cardinals.
It's been a rough few games for the last few weeks. But,
but no, still a big Blues fan. I'm probably going to be one of those Kansas City living St. Louis soccer fans. So because Sporting KC out here, not only are they good, but they have a huge following. So I think that's going to be a really fun rivalry once St. Louis's team starts playing. That's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that too. I've not seen a Sporting KC game, but I went to that stadium for a concert once, and what a cool area that's in. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah, downtown KCK. Yeah, there's a giant shopping area over there. Really cool area.
Racetrack is there too, right?
Racetrack's right across the street. Yeah.
All right, John, well, thanks so much for joining us. And next time you're in town, please look me up so maybe I can catch you sing a song or two at karaoke, because I know you like that too.
You got it.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Bye, Mike.